Okay, so you want to own a casino. You picture the floor at midnight, a sea of light and sound, slot machines chiming, dice skittering across green felt, roulette wheels ticking down to a stop while a whole table holds its breath. Cocktail waitresses thread between the tables with free drinks. Somewhere behind a locked door, in a room with no windows, cash is being weighed on scales because there is simply too much of it to count by hand. And you've heard the phrase your entire life, the house always wins. So you think, fine, put me on the winning side of that sentence, build the house, take the bets, let everybody else chase their luck while I collect. That's the picture. The tuxedo, the high roller suite, the certainty. That's what the movies sell you. Sounds simple. It is not simple. And the phrase you're leaning on, the house always wins, is doing an enormous amount of quiet work that you almost certainly don't understand, because the house does not win the way you think it wins. It doesn't win by luck. It doesn't win by cheating. It doesn't even win by hoping you lose. It wins by math, by volume, and by time. And the beautiful building you just fell in love with is a machine engineered to give it more of all three. Here's what the casino floor doesn't show you. Let me start with what it costs to get in, because it is a much bigger number than the felt suggests. There is no single price tag for a casino, because a casino can be anything from a slot parlor off a rural highway to a self-contained city with 40 restaurants. At the small end, a modest local gaming hall might run you $20 to $50 million. Step up to a real regional casino resort with a hotel tower, and you're now looking at 200 to 500 million. And at the top of the market, the numbers stop sounding like buildings and start sounding like national budgets. Resorts World Las Vegas opened in 2021 at a cost of about $4.3 billion. The Cosmopolitan came in near $3.9 billion. Singapore's Marina Bay Sands, with its rooftop ship and infinity pool, ran past $5 billion. These are not hotels that happen to have slot machines. They are casinos wrapped in a resort so large the gambling almost hides inside it. And here's the part that comes before you pour a single foundation. You need a license. Gaming is one of the most heavily regulated industries on earth, and the number of licenses in any given market is deliberately limited. Regulators run deep background checks on you, your partners, and your money. They can take years. They can say no. That scarcity is itself an asset. A gaming license is a permission slip to operate a legal money machine, and governments do not hand those out like business permits. Before you've bought one chip, the barrier to entry has already done half the work of protecting your future profits. So you've paid to get in. Now, how does the machine actually make money? This is where you need to stop thinking like a gambler and start thinking like a physicist. Every game on that floor is built around one number, the house edge. It is the fraction of every dollar wagered that the casino expects to keep on average forever. Not per night, not per player. Forever. And the genius of it is how small that number looks up close. Take American roulette. You bet on red, you bet on black. Feels like a coin flip, right? 50-50. Except it isn't, because the wheel has 38 pockets, not 36. There's a green 0 and a green 00 that belong to neither color. That's it. That's the whole trick. Those two green pockets give the house an edge of 5.26% on almost every bet at the table. You feel like you're flipping a coin. You are actually flipping a coin that lands on the house's side one extra time out of every 19. Read that again, because that tiny sliver is the entire business. And roulette is one of the worst bets for you. Craps on the pass line is about 1.4%. Baccarat's banker bet is around 1.06. Blackjack, played with flawless strategy, can be pulled under 0.5%. So you might think the smart player just picks the low edge games and the house barely makes anything. And that would be true if the edge were the only lever. It isn't. The other lever is volume, and volume is where the small numbers turn into fortunes. Watch what happens when you add time. A roulette player betting $10 a spin plays around 40 spins an hour. That's $400 pushed across the table every hour. Apply the 5.26% edge, and the math expects to strip about $21 an hour out of that player quietly, whether they're winning or losing in the moment. Now fill the room. Hundreds of tables, thousands of slot machines, running 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. The edge on any single bet is almost nothing. The edge across millions of bets is a river. The house never needs a lucky night, it just needs the wheel to keep spinning, because the more it spins, the closer reality is dragged toward the math. Now walk over to the slots, because that's where the real money lives, and where the engineering gets ruthless. On most casino floors, slot machines generate the majority of gaming revenue, often well over half. And a slot machine doesn't have a house edge in the loose sense a table does. It has a programmed one, and they call it the hold or the par. A machine set to a 12% hold will, over its lifetime, keep 12 cents of every dollar cycled through it. Higher limit machines might be set gentler, 4 or 5%, because the volume is enormous. Penny slots, where the true losses hide, can be set brutally high, 10, 12, 15%. And here's the part players never feel. That hold isn't taken once. A slot machine recycles your money. You put in $100. You win some, you feed it back, you win some more. You feed that back too. Every trip through the machine, it clips its percentage. So a $100 bankroll doesn't lose $12. Pushed through the machine over and over across an evening, it can lose the whole 100, and you'll swear you almost hit it big the entire time. The near miss you feel, the 2 jackpot symbols landing just above the line, is not bad luck. It's design. The machine is engineered to keep you sitting exactly long enough for the math to finish its work. And none of it is an accident. Look at the room itself. There are no clocks on the walls and no windows to the outside, so you lose track of time and daylight. And time is the one thing the house needs you to spend. The most valuable machines sit deep in the interior, so you have to walk past 100 temptations to reach the exit or the bathroom. The carpet is loud and busy on purpose, designed to keep your eyes up and forward on the games. The layout curves and folds like a maze, so there's never a clean, boring straight line to the door. Even the free drinks are a calculation. A relaxed, slightly loosened player makes worse decisions and stays longer. The whole floor is a single piece of behavioral engineering with one job: keep you inside, keep you playing, and give the arithmetic more time to run. So the games are the engine, and the room is the trap that keeps you near it. But the single most misunderstood part of casino economics isn't the games. It's the free stuff, the comps. Because when the casino sends you a free room, free steak, free show tickets, a car to the airport, it looks like generosity. It is the opposite of generosity. It is the coldest calculation in the building. The casino is not tracking how much you lost, it's tracking how much you're mathematically expected to lose. They call it your theoretical loss, or your theo. Here's how it works. Say you play blackjack at $100 a hand, about 60 hands an hour for 4 hours. That's $24,000 in total wagers pushed across the felt. Apply even a modest 2% effective edge for an average player, and your theoretical loss is around $480. That's your value to the house in a night before you've won or lost a cent. Now, the casino does something that feels insane and is actually brilliant. It gives a chunk of that theo back to you on purpose, typically somewhere around a third of it in the form of comps. Your $480 theo earns you maybe $150 in free rooms, meals, and perks. And the moment they do that, they've solved the hardest problem in every business on earth: customer retention. Because now you're not choosing between 10 casinos. You're loyal to the one that treats you like royalty, and every free stake is quietly billed against money the math already says is theirs. The loyalty card in your wallet isn't a rewards program. It's a surveillance tool that measures your losses in real time and hands back the smallest slice that keeps you coming back. It looks like they're taking care of you. They're taking inventory of you. Now, before you start mentally spending all of this, let's talk about where the money leaks out. Because a casino is also one of the most expensive machines on earth to run. Start with people. That floor never closes, which means you are staffing it around the clock. Dealers, pit bosses, security, surveillance operators, watching a wall of cameras, cage cashiers, cocktail servers, hotel staff, restaurant staff, maintenance, marketing. Payroll at a major property runs into the hundreds of millions a year. Then utilities, because a building with no clocks, no windows, and no natural light burns electricity 24 hours a day just to stay in its permanent, timeless glow. Then insurance, security, and the vast machinery of regulatory compliance, because every dollar has to be watched, logged, and reported. And then there's the silent partner who takes a cut before you see a dime of profit: the government. Gaming taxes vary wildly by location, and they can be savage. In Nevada, the top gaming tax rate is a relatively gentle 6.75% of gaming revenue. But cross into Pennsylvania, and the tax on slot revenue is around 54%. Read that again. In some states, more than half of what the slot machines hold goes straight to the state before you cover a single cost. So two casinos can run the identical floor, pull the identical edge, and one is a gold mine while the other barely survives, purely because of the line on the map they happen to sit on. Which brings us to the fragility, the structural weakness hiding under all that glamour. A casino is a business with enormous fixed costs and revenue that depends entirely on people showing up in a good mood with money to burn. That floor has to be lit, staffed, and running whether it's packed or empty. The costs barely move, but the revenue is exquisitely sensitive to things you cannot control. A recession and discretionary gambling money evaporates. A new casino opens one state over, and your regional monopoly is suddenly split in half. A pandemic, and you are ordered to close the one thing that makes money while every one of those fixed costs keeps right on billing. The house always wins the individual bet, but the house itself is a fragile, cash-hungry giant, and when the crowds stop coming, the math that made it invincible turns on it instantly. The edge means nothing if nobody is placing the bet, and when that fragility meets ambition, you get a story like Revel. Revel was going to be the future of Atlantic City, a gleaming 47-story tower on the boardwalk, all glass and light, built at a cost of about $2.4 billion. It opened in April of 2012 to enormous fanfare, and it was a disaster almost from the first day. The design fought its own customers, the smoking bans, the confusing layout, the sheer cost of running the place, and an Atlantic City market that was already shrinking as gambling spread to neighboring states. Revel filed for bankruptcy within its first year of operation. It filed again the next year, and in September of 2014, after being open for just over 2 years, this $2.4 billion building closed its doors. It was later sold for a fraction of its cost. Figures reported around $80 to $200 million, pennies on the dollar. The house edge on that floor never failed. The wheel still turned 5.26% in the casino's favor. It didn't matter, because the edge only prints money if the crowd shows up, the costs stay covered, and the market doesn't move beneath your feet. Revel got the math right, and the business catastrophically wrong. So how does the modern casino survive the fragility that killed Revel? It stops being a casino, or at least it stops trusting the gambling to carry the whole building. Here's the shift that almost nobody outside the industry has noticed. On the Las Vegas Strip, gambling is no longer the main event. Back around the year 2000, gaming brought in the majority of Strip revenue, roughly 60%. Today, gaming is only about a third of it. The rest, the bigger part, comes from hotel rooms, restaurants, nightclubs, concerts, shopping, and conventions. The modern mega resort figured out that the tables are volatile and the edge is thin on any given night, so it turned the casino into the anchor that pulls millions of people through the doors, then sold them a $200 dinner, a $400 room, and a $100 nightclub ticket on the way past. And at the very same time, the industry threw open an entirely new floor with no building at all: online betting. After the United States cleared the way for legal sports betting in 2018, the casino escaped the walls entirely, and now the same mathematical edge runs on the phone in your pocket 24 hours a day with no dealer to pay and no floor to light. So let's go back to that sentence you started with. The house always wins. It's true, but not for the reason you thought. The house doesn't win because it's lucky, and it doesn't win because you're a sucker. The house wins because it has quietly rewritten the terms of the game underneath you. You think you're playing against chance. You are actually renting time on a machine that has already priced your losses, measured to the penny before you sit down. Every green pocket on the wheel, every recycled dollar in the slot, every free steak sliced against your theoretical loss is the same idea wearing a different costume. You are not gambling against luck. You are gambling against arithmetic, and arithmetic does not get tired, does not get scared, and does not go on a hot streak. The casino doesn't beat you. It outweights you. It looks like a palace built for chance. It's actually a machine built to erase it.